The science of falling in love too quickly. Let's see what Zoomology
Studies
has to
show
say.
this. On average, men fall in love faster than women, but why? Well, after hours of research, I found out there are two reasons why this happens, and one solution that can solve them both. And all of these can be connected to the life story of Vincent van Gogh. He used
Okay.
to live with his family in the Netherlands, but his life changed when he became obsessed with his cousin, Key Vostriker.
Cousin, what? He said cousin. That's crazy.
Even though they were barely speaking, Van Gogh eventually proposed to her, but she brutally rejected him by saying, "No, never, never." Refusing to accept it, he even stuck his hand into a candle flame, saying he would only remove it if she said yes. Her answer was still no. What Van Gogh experienced is
Did he
called
die?
limerence, and we all tend to suffer from this. This term was invented by psychologist Dorothy Tennov in 1979.
Wait, we can't let a woman, bro. We can't let a woman. Like, okay, I feel like if you're not the thing, you don't fully have the right to speak on it. The same way as I feel like men don't have the right to speak on women's biology, psychology, and what they should be able to do with their bodies. We shouldn't allow women to tell us as men like how we fully work because you're not a man. So there's certain emotions and feelings you just never will understand. So like you can't fully make it make sense and put it in a box for us. That's how I feel about stuff like this. But let's hear what she has to say. It might be valid.
Basically, it's a one-sided obsessive state that our brain confuses with love.
Okay, limerent. Okay, let's look at love first. Love is connection, shared experiences, caring for each other's needs, and creating genuine connection. Stability. Love is built on trust and security. Partners feel supported, valued, emotionally safe, emotional safety, trust and open communication allows to be secure. Longevity. Reality. Okay, limerence. Obsession is focused on winning. Okay, so it's one-sided versus where this is a balance of two people. This is just one-sided. This is rooted in trust, in balance. This is rooted in one-sidedness and fear. Okay.
But how do we end up in this state? It all starts in the early stages of the interactions. You meet the girl, start to daydream about her, and flood your brain with dopamine. Since it feels good, your brain wants to do it over and over again. But when your dopamine levels rise, your serotonin levels drop. Why is this important? Well, serotonin is a mood stabilizer hormone which regulates your emotions and rational thinking. Studies show that people who experience limerence have lower than normal serotonin levels, much like those who suffer from OCD. So you lose a big part of your logical power along the way. And it gets even worse. During those daydreaming moments, you also release oxytocin, the emotional bonding hormone, so you become emotionally attached to her, even though she may barely know that you exist. These three hormones create a rabbit hole, which according to Dorothy Tennov, can end up in three different ways. Reciprocation. You find out that she likes you back. But let's be real, boys, this is rarely the case. Transference. You become obsessed with another person. And starvation. You reset your dopamine and serotonin levels by letting her go. But how can you do that? In the book Atomic Habits, there are revealed 5 steps for this. Step 1, decrease the triggers. Don't look at her social media profile, don't listen to romantic songs, and don't watch romantic movies. Number 2, replace the habit. When you catch yourself thinking about her, block your mind. You can do that by actively trying to catch your next thought. Step 3, change your environment. You are more prone to fall into limerence when you are alone, so try to spend more time with other people. Step 4, reward yourself. Do something you like anytime you succeed to control your thoughts. And Step 5, shift your identity. Try to see yourself from the
I'm
third
not Alex
person
the
for a
Virgo no more.
moment. Ask yourself,
Terry.
that's what I want to be? The guy who fantasizes about girls? Remember,
The image with the zoom out with that is crazy work. That guy looks full up.
love and limerence can't usually coexist. But as I said at the beginning of this video, limerence is only one of the 2 reasons why you fall in love so easily. Unfortunately, Van Gogh had the second one too. After the rejection from his cousin, he was completely
His cousin is
heartbroken.
crazy, man.
But 1 year later, he fell in love again. Sign Hornick, a sex worker. She was poor, pregnant, and had a young daughter. But Van Gogh didn't care, so he offered her money and shelter, and he even tried to marry her. But his love was too intense. The constant drama combined with the rejection from his family destroyed her emotionally.
Wow.
So later on, she chose to drown herself in a river.
Hey,
But
yo.
how did he end up falling for her? The halo effect. Basically, one positive trait can make you ignore all the flaws a person might have. In Van Gogh's case, the story was pretty simple. Since Sign's life was down bad, she was really grateful for having him in her life. That
Right.
positive trait made him overlook all the negative ones. Now, as a species, we are very likely to suffer from the halo effect. Why? Back in the caveman days, finding a mate meant survival of the species, so your brain couldn't let you mess things up by getting random icks. Therefore, it made you see many girls as perfect. But how can you actually stop this phenomenon? Well, at first, I had no idea. Then I stumbled upon Ralph Waldo Emerson, an American philosopher. He believed in the power of deep self-reflection and journaling as a way to achieve your goals. So this is what you have to do. Journal about the qualities that you would love to see in a future girlfriend, and then brutally analyze how many of these qualities she doesn't have. This way, the perfection she seems to have will eventually fade away. Now, both limerence and the halo effect actually have a common psychological cause: low self-esteem. Studies show that people with low self-esteem are more likely to interpret small acts of kindness as proof of deep love. This leads them to fall for someone quicker than normal. But why? Because our brain becomes desperate.
When you don't have a lot of love, internal love, that is, because the people around you didn't build you up enough to feel like you're loved and you're a good enough person no matter what it is, the situation. You don't have that, you start looking for that outside of yourself and other people. That makes sense.
That's what I've been waiting for.
The poet Stendhal called this phenomenon vain love, a love that originates purely from the desire to feel accepted and appreciated.
That makes
so
sense.
if low self-esteem is the root of the problem, the question is, how can you increase it? Well, you can either work on the problem internally, practice self-love, stop comparing yourself to others, set realistic goals, and all that bullshit you've probably heard 1,000 times.
Oftentimes, though, the most cliche things, the people, the philosophers, the intelligent, high frequency beings that made these sayings, treat others the way you want to be treated, love yourself. If you don't love yourself, how can you love anybody else? These most basic principles, you know what I mean? These basic principles, they realized that they were so simple, so simple in application and so simple in what they were, that they could literally put them in words that even children could understand. That's how simple they realized these principles were. That they're so overlooked. That's how simple they are. But it's crazy. That's literally what it is.
Or resolve the problem externally. Here you can do what Van Gogh did, get good at something, and find someone to believe in you.
You'll never ever fix a problem that started internally externally. That's like your engine in your car messing up, and you decide how I'm gonna fix my engine messing up is by getting a better exterior, a better body for this car. No, never.
Why? Because in this scenario, you will get enough external validation to stop your brain from chasing every woman that comes along your path. For Van Gogh, that person was
But whenever that external validation doesn't come, because it will cease to exist eventually, in the height and peak of your career and during your career, yes, you might feel good. But what about after your career? What about after the external validation dies down and it's just you and your thoughts? What about whenever you go home and there is no external validation, there is no cameras on you? How do you feel? Again, you're just running from yourself. It's just a lot of people running from themselves and the problems that's with themselves. That's really what it comes down to.
Jo Bonguerre, his brother's wife. During all of his life, Van Gogh only managed to sell one of his paintings. But after he died, Jo Bonguerre preserved and promoted his work,
Starry Night,
ensuring that the world recognized his genius. And as you know, Van Gogh ended up being one of the most appreciated artists of all time.
Okay.
Unfortunately for him, he only got the validation he needed after his death. Thing is,
so exactly, what was the point? What was...
He was actually a very talented artist who put all of his energy and emotions into his work. So you have to do the same. If you don't have any special skills, you could just try to become more interesting as a person. It might seem like a hard mission, but you are only 3 steps away from achieving it. And I know the perfect video that explains all of them.
Is the simple psychology of being interesting. Nice. But yeah. That's the video of the signs of falling in love too quick. I think, yeah, falling in love too quick all just comes down to you not believing in yourself enough to attract the right people, and you being in not an abundance but rather a desperation mindset of this person is fleeting, this person will leave you because you're not good enough to make them stay. So you fall in love, you try to love bomb them, and you try to hold on to images instead of what's actually real in front of you. So yeah, this is a pretty good video. I like this guy Zoomology. I'm not too familiar with his work, but maybe I need to get more familiar because this is very interesting. Anyways, with that, Virgo, Alex the Virgo is my main channel. This is my second reaction channel. Go check out my main channel. Check me out on all platforms out. Actually, Alex the Virgo everywhere. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Love.